Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I just give some instructions to the Catalan speakers for the use of the headphones. Okay? Per aquells que heu agafat l'aparell de traducció simultània, és important, m'han dit que abans d'encendre'l, poseu el jack dins dels cascos. Primer poseu el jack i després enceneu, si no tindreu problemes. I aleshores busqueu el canal 1, que és la traducció al català, d'acord? Gràcies. L'idioma vehicular de la conferència, com ja sabeu, és l'anglès, així que a partir d'ara continuarem en anglès. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this conference, the annual conference of World Craft Council Europe, with the collaboration of CCAM and the Craft Center of Catalonia under the EU co-funded Creative Europe project, Crafting. I don't know, for those that you don't know, we have been working the last 3 days with the members of the World Craft Council Europe in Barcelona, doing our annual General Assembly. So we are very pleased to host them here in Catalonia. This is the 3rd annual conference under this project. We have previously held ones in Lisbon, in Portugal, as well as Valletta, Malta, and now we are here in Barcelona. We would like to welcome everyone who has joined us today here at the Disseny Hub, as well as those joining us online from around the world. Yeah, we have a lot of people connected online. We are very happy about that, so welcome too. The conference is being streamed via YouTube, and anybody is welcome to join. I'm David Places. Let me introduce me. I work at the CCAM, the Consortium of Trade, Craft and Fashion of Catalonia, the government of Catalonia. We have a craft center here in Barcelona, as you know, and I'm in charge of the project of internationalization and culture. I will be acting as a moderator during this conference today, so any questions you have, I can help you. Today we have a very full program. We are a little late already, so I'm trying to be fast, and I will ask also the rest to be a little faster to recover a little time to catch up. And we have various speakers from different segments of the craft world. We will be diving into a range of projects related to contemporary crafts and exploring what other sectors one can learn from crafts, that I'm sure it's a lot. You can see our program displayed. We have the slide. Okay, thank you. And after every speaker intervention, we'll have around 5, maybe 10 minutes of debate from the audience too, if you want to intervene. If there's someone that wants to speak in Catalan, no problem, we can translate to the speaker, and he or she doesn't understand. There will be a break between 11:30 and 12 to have just a coffee, so it's not too much time, but we ask you to be sharp because we have a very tight schedule, so please go to grab a coffee and come back. That's going to be fast. And for those of you that you are here at the Design Museum, we invite you to take part of this conversation and contribute with our interactive network space. When you get your ideas, comments, contributions, anything. We have some panels at the foyer. You just pass through it in front of the protocol, and those panels are for you to stick some ideas. There are Post-its, there are pens, so you can share your ideas with us. We'll collect all the Post-its after the conference, and we'll, of course, study them with a lot of interest. Also, for those online, please feel free to add your comments to the chat. They will be written and shared too. Thank you also to the Design Museum for holding us and for hosting us today. And we are very grateful to be able to have all this facility to celebrate this international conference. And let's start with the exciting program we have ahead. I want to welcome our very honorable Torrent and Ramió, our Minister of Enterprise, and also Cristina Mendes, the Vice President of World Craft Council Europe, who is having the floor right now. Please, Cristina. Thank you. Gracias.
Good morning, all. and welcome to this Congress. This is, like David said, is the third event that we have within the crafting project, a co-funded EU project. We have tackled other issues, and now in this specific one we are tackling important issues for crafts. What we can learn from crafts that can benefit other sectors, how can we bring crafts to a wider audience, and some current and very important issues that are important to crafts too, like sustainability, exchange of knowledge, aesthetics, design, everything that is very important for crafts, and we are going to learn too much today, and we hope it will be very important to all of you that are here present and online. And I would like to thank CCAM for hosting us, and I would like to also thank the Minister of Work and Business of Catalonia, Mr. Rosa Torrent, and to tell you that it's so important when we see the public power taking such a look for crafts and give it crafts the floor that he really deserves in the economy and in society. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Thank you, Agnes, for hosting us.
Bon dia, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the capital of Catalonia, Barcelona. This is a country that combines tradition and innovation. It wants to be in the world with our own voice, with our voice, taking part in global challenges. And we are very proud to host this important European Craft Summit. In fact, the choice of Barcelona as the venue is a recognition of the international strategy promoted by the government of Catalonia, by the government of La Generalitat de Catalunya, with the goal to prestige and qualify our craftsmanship, our craft, our tradition, our capacity to link this tradition, this cultural identity with the innovation, with the future. We collaborate with international reference associations. We foster alliances to promote craft with other countries. In this respect, through the Trade, Craft and Fashion Consortium, we are members of the World Craft Council Europe and the Michelangelo Foundation. And we have taken part in the Interreg Europe Craft Code project. We are also working hard to position our craftsmanship at the global level, seeking opportunities at the main events in the world of design. The Catalan Contemporary Craft Biennale Visions of Catalonia participate in the Homo Faber in Venice, Italy, and Revelation in Paris, France. It also traveled to Dubai Design Week and Milan Design Week to benchmark platform for the design and creativity sector here in Catalonia. In Milan, we also hosted the exhibition inspired in Barcelona, Terra Rosa, a group exhibition promoted by the government of Catalonia and Barcelona City Council. It commemorates the rich ceramic tradition of our country and its influence on the world of contemporary design. As I said, hosting this conference is a recognition of all this work, but also many things as our international role, our international capacity to participate in international and global discussions, in global projects like this one. We have here in Catalonia, we have the only World Craft City in our country, is la Bisbal d'Empordà, renowned for its ceramic heritage that we have sought to disseminate with the creations of the artisan with many roads in Catalonia. We invite you to follow these routes, to know about these kind of points, very interesting points in this route, but not now. Now it's time to the conference. It's time to share experience, to know about you, about us. I think it's a very important opportunity to share capacities, to share opinions, to share ideas, at last to share complicities, to strange links, to strange this kind of relationships, a very positive relationship, but also at last to build together a brighter future for the crafts in our country, in our realities around Europe. So thank you very much, and as I said, very welcome to Catalonia, very welcome to Barcelona.
Thank you, Cristina. Thank you, Minister. Let's continue. First, I want to tell you that we are very grateful that our World Cup Council, WCCE, is hosting this annual conference in Barcelona. For us, it's it's a very exciting situation, and also we are, for those that you don't know, I want you to share with you that we are from the government of Catalonia and CCAM. We are a proud member of the board of directors since last year. So we are working very closely with them to try to make some changes in the European craft scenario, positive changes, of course. And let's continue also with our first speaker of today. She is Laura Miguel Baumann. Many of you maybe will know her because she has been in the craft sector for years, doing a lot of projects. She is the Secretary General nowadays of the WCCE, and she will be introducing the topic today of the conference. She's been in the sector for more than 15 years and managing projects to strengthen and improve the competitiveness in the craft sector, promotion and engagement in Europe. She has been part of juries for various craft awards internationally and has overseen and curated numerous exhibitions. She previously worked as manager of EOI CEARTE before becoming the Secretary General of the WCCE. Laura, the floor is yours. Thank you.
It's like in the plane. Good morning, everyone. Very welcome here. Bon dia a tothom. I'm a little bit nervous because we were preparing everything, and I'm going to read sometimes because I don't want to miss anything that I want to share with you today. I'm standing here today and speaking on behalf of WCCE, but it could be any of my colleagues here, Rachel, Anna, or Julie, or any of the 38 members of the organization, because what I'm going to share with you is something that it's our daily business. Let's say that I draw the short straw, and that's why I'm here today. The topic of this conference is the state of craft. What are crafts? I'm not going to answer to that question now, nor give you a definition. I want you to listen to all the speakers that are going to be here on stage today. They will give you an insight into the world of craft and why we should be attentive to their developments. Crafts have now become synonymous with quality and a slower-paced lifestyle. They are becoming more and more popular and attracting growing interest. You will discover how much they bring into our lives, into our societies, and well-being in general. Craft is a thriving sector. It's becoming trendy. You just need to look at the marketing campaigns of all types of products, bread, cars, pizzas, handbags. They say handcrafted. Everything is handcrafted, finished by hand, handmade. But we know that this is not true. The production numbers don't match with the capacities of a handmade production. So what is happening here? Most of those are taking the positive value of the concept of crafts. Which are those? Quality, care when producing them, design, uniqueness. But is everyone aware of that? I don't think so. That is why we have a mission here. I know, I want you to become, if you are not already, a craftivist. I want you, sorry, I know that you, like me, are passionate about crafts. We love, appreciate the processes, the richness of the materials, the personal stories behind those hands and minds. And know that everyone is talking about crafts. We have an opportunity here to say what it really is about. We need to use this momentum, sorry, that when everyone is using those adjectives in a positive way, to explain what crafts really is about. Crafts are everywhere, but in most cases, we are not aware of it. We need to invite our fellows to open their eyes, minds, and souls to see it, to appreciate it. Take this place as an example, the city of Barcelona. The greatest craftspersons of history have been here. They have left a legacy that inspired so many. As an example, the almost 50 members of our organization had the chance to visit the Sagrada Familia on Tuesday. We had a private tour with an architect. This church has been under construction 141 years. Can you imagine that? Patience is needed here because masters are at work. In the current times of immediateness and fast consumption, this is taking really their own times. What traditional construction techniques offer is this passion for detail, perfect finishings, the mastery of proportions, and this is a huge value. This is something that people really appreciate now. I remember once Enrique Lowe, he said that the authentic luxury was time to do things, time to enjoy them. We don't have time today. We are all stressed always. You know that a guitar builder, for instance, he cannot go to the woods, collect the wood, prepare it, and start building a guitar. The entire process might take 30 years because he needs to dry the wood, treat it, the wood needs to rest, and then to have the right features to be worked on. So that's precisely the value on it. Now, that is what I want to talk about now, the value of craftsmanship. You can value things in many different ways. They have an economical value based on the material, the production, or the marketing, for instance, but also an intangible value. This is an interesting one, which I will come later on. First, I want to give you some figures. We know from a study of Crafts Council UK that there has been a huge growth in the number of people buying craft between 2006 and 2020. 73% of the population is buying crafts in 2020. The craft sector has entered in the mainstream market now. That does not mean that everyone is able to buy all types of crafts. There are still some objects and services that can be afforded only by wealthy buyers, but at least crafts has reached a wide majority of the population. We also published a study recently called the European Market for Crafts, and there we found out that the European market is worth 50 billion euros, and it reaches 153 million people. So the market there is huge. But nowadays, craftspeople are facing many challenges. The crisis, the COVID, the war in Ukraine, the unstable situation in some countries, the energy prices, the housing prices, the market instability, the raw material shortage. Well, the list is quite huge. But there are some policies that need to be considered to consider the particular situation of craftspeople and small enterprises. We know that 99%, oh, sorry, I was not, Sorry, we have prepared a presentation with very nice pictures. There are no words, there are only pictures to inspire yourself to support what I'm saying so that you see what wonderful crafts are. And maybe, yeah, I can just push it sometimes. Yeah, sorry. I told you at the beginning that I was nervous, okay? So I hope you understand. So I was telling you about the businesses. 99% of enterprises in Europe are SMEs. And between those, 90 to 95% are micro businesses. That means less than 10 people working. So they are the backbone of our economy. And a little bit of consideration to those will be good. Other policies that need to be approached are, for instance, taxes. Tax systems all over Europe are not adapted to the craft person's economic activity. Those should be regulated and adapted. VAT, for instance, applied for craft, needs also to be reviewed. The European craft sector has an immense potential for economic growth and job creation. The sector is composed of small, fragmented and dispersed units which offer a sustainable livelihood both in urban and in rural areas. Craft businesses serve as well as role models in terms of adaptability and flexibility. Craft businesses are incorporating as well innovation. They are forming strategic alliances. Collaboration and networking is basic to advance in this world. Because of their size, as we have mentioned before, remember that we are talking about micro businesses. Sometimes only one person is working in the craft enterprise. It's difficult for them to cover all the processes that the business needs to be taken care of. I have a lot of nice pictures. Huh? I hope you enjoy that. So we know that sometimes externalizing these services is difficult because it needs some extra funding, but joining fellows or associations may help to alleviate these burdens. Collaborating among craft people to cope with a big order or to research and find solutions to production problems, invest in new machinery, or are other ways finding viable solutions to some of their challenges. Collaborating is a must. Crafts, I think I'm speaking faster than the pictures, but wow, you like this, huh? Here you see the work behind. Okay, it doesn't, yeah. Because I am waiting for one specific picture, but it will come, don't worry. So crafts are per se utilizing models of circular and sustainable practice. We will hear about that later, that integrate small-scale, flexible and adaptable production methods. In this way, they also strengthen local value chains, support communities and local businesses. Craft practitioners often use raw materials from their entourage. They don't go far away to have them. They produce with resource-efficient methods and offer products that can be repaired, reused, or restyled in different ways. Also, waste can become a valuable raw material. Other industries can really learn from this approach. The rise of consumer concerns about sustainability and climate change have as well opened up an opportunity. And there is a trend as well to change paradigms to live a simpler, more participative, and possibly cheaper life. Current trends show that these are us in front of the Sagrada Familia. Current trends show that there is a desire to reach back to the origin of things and find the authentic, reconnect with nature. We always speak about the dichotomy of tradition and innovation. The use of new technologies, for instance, is not contrary to tradition. Crafts are innovating in many aspects, but respecting the cultural heritage. The local knowledge, for instance, is not contrary to tradition. Crafts are innovating in many aspects, but respecting the cultural heritage, local knowledge, and artisanal skills. Traditional crafts are enhanced nowadays with contemporary tools, techniques, technologies, also communication, or the development of new markets. The innovation processes that we are currently observing recognize the relevance and importance of traditional knowledge in contemporary society. You need also to consider the beneficial aspects of culture for health and well-being, particularly mental health. Individuals seek to take time out for self-care and self-development, and they approach a craft to relax and to disconnect for a while from their daily stress, have time for themselves, or simply detox from the digital devices. Craft can therefore be considered a tool for health and well-being. More and more people are looking for authenticity when they are traveling. They don't look for the typical souvenir that is going to be abandoned on the shelf of their mother-in-law's dining room, but for something different, meaningful. If they can tell a story on how it was made, how the workshop of the person that made it was, the better. They want to bring something outstanding. Experiencing in crafts is also a big trend now. Do-it-yourself has risen enormously, especially during the lockdown. Being a maker for a while, putting ourselves in the shoes of a craftsperson is also a way to get to know the value of things. It's improving the perception of the trades. The craft universe is experiencing one of the most exciting and fascinating moments in recent decades. It is a sector in continuous transformation, responding to the challenges and uncertainties of the current times. I think that by now I have given you enough arguments to look at it as a source of inspiration, and the following speakers will show you how crafts and its ecosystem are a keystone in our world. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hello. Thank you, Laura, for this inspiring conference. Don't take the microphone yet, Laura, just in case someone has a question for you.
Okay.
Okay, we know it's been a huge effort to organize the General Assembly and this conference at the same time, so thank you. And there's any question for Laura? It was just an inspiring opening conference, so we are not getting into the bone yet. But if you want to ask something, you can do it now or maybe later during the coffee, whatever. Okay, so let's move because we don't have too much time. Thank you. Thank you, Laura, for this inspiring conference. And now, let me welcome Rosa Muñoz Gomez, our next speaker. She works in brand trends and futures consultant in Ohayō. Ohayō is the name of the company, and has over the past years produced a number of studies commissioned by the WCCE on the craft sector. Rosa specializes in trends and futures foresight. At Ohayō, she manages the Auto Trend Observatory, a system for monitoring what's new in crafts, living, leisure, tourism, agri-food, and lifestyle sectors. So as you see, everything, all these sectors could be related to the craft sector at some point. Rosa talks today is titled Craftsmanship Beyond Crafts, Developing Thriving Economies and Healthy Societies. And we'll dive into some of the findings of two of the reports from the recent studies that Ohayō has produced for WCCE. Rosa, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for your nice presentation. I'm very grateful to be part of this annual conference on the state of crafts, and honored to be part of the conversation that we are opening today. Business, entrepreneurship, economy, innovation, or R&D seem to be big words, but they are just part of our daily lives. And when applied to crafts, they are not just business words. They are concepts that are driven by a very committed way of life. Over the past few years, our company, Ohayō, has been involved in a very intensive research activity throughout Europe, and we have developed 3 studies. The first of them, which is already available and mentioned here, was aimed to characterize the European market for crafts. The second one, to identify business and production opportunities in the sector. And the third one, to understand the new technological context of European crafts. These last two studies will be published in the next few months. Today I will try to share my personal thoughts after reviewing the findings and thinking of everything that we have heard and registered during the research process. You might agree with me that entrepreneurship is a heroic act in any sector, including craft. And we, small and medium-sized enterprises, sometimes do well, sometimes we thrive, and sometimes we just struggle to survive. But wherever the economic moment, we are all part of a great fabric that drives the European economy and ensure healthy and dynamic societies. And in particular, craft entrepreneurs are also in charge of managing a great valuable part of our culture, our heritage, and also our skills. In my opinion, the importance of crafts in economy is hidden due to different factors. One of them is the lack of harmonization of the sector inside of our countries and also at a European level. Another reason is the lack of awareness about what is craft. Sometimes when we are buying crafts, we don't know that we are buying crafts. And the last reason is that crafts are quite often hidden or absorbed by other predominant industries such as fashion, tourism, interior design, or even art. But that doesn't mean that the contribution of crafts to economy is minor or is not important. Laura mentioned this research, the European Market for Crafts, entitled the European Market for Crafts. And in that research, we estimated the serviceable available market for crafts in Europe in 50 billion euro. And that's not a residual market, but it's a complex market intertwined with many other sectors, and usually is managing a high added value type of product. Crafts are not only important as an industry or as a sector, they are also very important in cities as economic hubs. Craftspeople have historically articulated the structure of heritage cities, for example, and nowadays, they are part of an urban movement that gives appeal to previously rundown neighborhoods. And in the competition of cities to attract visitors, talent, or new residents, crafts could be the driving force of a new way to structure these historical centers. This was already something normal in the Middle Ages, actually. Urban planners today, in our contemporary lives, in the need of a concept or a guideline to order the territory, they could count on craftspeople and craft businesses to keep alive and authentic our neighborhoods. This is strategy, this is business, and differentiation and a new economy for cities, but not only for cities. It could be also applied to remote villages or regions where to attract visitors to, so they can find new places to visit and new things to do. I wanted to share with you this example. It's a city in Japan called Kanazawa. In 2009, UNESCO designated Kanazawa as a city of crafts and folk art in its Creative Cities Network, which eventually led to the National Museum of Crafts moving from Tokyo to Kanazawa in 2020. Now the city is known as the city of Kogei, which means crafts in Japanese, and attracts a large number of visitors interested in the various manifestations of traditional Japanese crafts. And art lovers visiting Kanazawa can appreciate the dozens of traditional art forms in shops, galleries, museums, and experience many of them in hands-on workshops led by master craftspeople. So the opportunity to experiment with these ancestral techniques has become a source of business for craftspeople workshops, as well as a way to improve customers' knowledge of the craft. During this process of several years intensively researching on crafts, we have summarized some revealing findings based on the studies that I have mentioned before. The research followed for the report, unveiling the potential of the craft sector, identifies and classifies more than 100 innovation and business opportunities for the sector. These opportunities are linked to emerging consumer trends, to the intervention in business management areas, collaboration with new market segments, innovation in new materials and technologies, and also some ways to preserve relevant traditional crafts are also developed in a special chapter. Such an impressive number of ideas has resulted from the collective knowledge and cooperation of craftspeople and professionals throughout Europe. And this experience proves that there are new avenues for the sector to explore. And it will require a change of mindset and certainly cooperation, but craft as a sector certainly has the potential to become a relevant socio-economic activity. And collaboration with other sectors is helpful in demonstrating the possibilities of crafts extended to new areas. I would like to share with you two cases about what I have just said before, and these cases have been analyzed in the studies that I mentioned. The first of them is Carina Sol Atelier. Carina Sol is a leather artist based in the Swedish countryside, and she has developed a completely new craft technique, creating patterns by hand directly onto the leather, using natural leaves and flowers that she picks near her studio. She develops bespoke works ranging from artworks to interior installation for high-end interior architects, designers, luxury fashion brands, and private clients. Actually, one of her latest projects was the creation of leather panels for the walls of 3 bedrooms in a yacht. This is a sample on how innovation in technique is still possible, and also how a niche created by the same craftsperson has found a place in the market. The other case is the Hungarian workshop Meter Sister. Her founder, Anna Rosa Meter, designed this workshop where one can make a unique leather bag in 4 hours or a single day by appointment, thanks to the help of their instructors and following a pre-designed system that the founder devised for her business. A year ago, they started the Do-It-Yourself Bar Budapest to let any passerby come into the shop and make a small leather item without an appointment or a person to guide them. Just tutorials played on tablets and a kit with leather, tools, and some patterns is everything that the customer needs to prepare or to make this leather item. They are spreading the value of craftsmanship through experience, and also they are working on sustainability by proposing a system in which objects are created by their future owner. This has become an activity for team building, very popular among companies in Hungary, and also a nice thing to do for tourists in Budapest. Traditional craftsmanship has a relevant place in today's consumer society. Historical styles and classical aesthetics can be combined with contemporary uses and applied to modern objects to create new product categories. There might be more, but following a methodology that we have created in Ohayō, we basically base our way of resignifying and revising traditional crafts in 4 lines: context, function, materials, and communication. Sometimes traditional crafts are given a twist thanks to design, but some other times formal changes are not necessary because the semiotics or the meaning of the objects are completely different depending on the markets and the context. And let me tell you something, although craft is sometimes contrasted with popular development dogmas such as knowledge economy, planning, or innovation, while emphasizing tradition, craft can be experimental, forward-looking, and adaptive. And it can be also a driving force to the creation in the creation of successful businesses. We have the case of Giuseppe Savoca, which is a contemporary craftsman and fashion designer that has been able to combine the finest embroidery technique and his tailor skills with a casual object, as it is the baseball cap, creating a brand new object very difficult to categorize. In the images shown here, we can see how he's able to create contemporary pieces inspired in historical aesthetics, mainly Baroque, Well, and actually, he has been one of the lighthouse cases that we have studied and analyzed in one of the researches that I mentioned before. Another example on how traditional craftsmanship can have a place in our contemporary lives is the work of this Spanish atelier, Jesus Rosado Bordados, which is in the south of Spain. And they specialize in religious embroidery, but in 2020, well, they were in charge of the gold embroidery garments of the Dior's Cruise Collection 2023. In an interview with the main and the lead craftsman of this workshop, he said how the project made them feel part of something big, and also how it made them believe in their ability to diversify their business. The last example in this line of making contemporary traditional crafts is the work of the Ukrainian craftsperson Serhiy Petrov, professionally known as Bob Basset. He uses traditional leather techniques to make objects that didn't exist before, and his creations have been featured in the pages of Vogue. They have been worn by members of metal bands and graced the runways and catwalks of high-end fashion shows. The brilliant future of crafts has to do with this statement here. Things are points of stability in life. These are words of the South Korean-born Swiss-German philosopher Byung-Chul Han. And in his book, Andinge, or Non-Objects in English, Han writes that living matter activates its entire surroundings. And this book, Andinge, is about the loss of this magic of objects. He says that in our contemporary society, the digital order has de-objectified our world. And that is part of the loss of the magic that he's talking about. From my point of view, the antidote or an antidote for this is crafts. This means that objects are going to become more precious and valuable as they serve as tangible anchors. They are a reference and a deposit of memories. They have a historical and emotional presence as they activate their surroundings, and their presence, the object's presence, can evoke memories and emotions. And also, they are key in keeping the human connection. Physical objects fosters a connection to living matter and history. And this connection is essential for a sense of place and belonging, aspects that the virtual environments struggle to replicate. And that's a really important strength for crafts. And we need to be able to communicate and raise awareness of these facts here, so a new relation to well-crafted objects is developed. Crafts are also important in other fields. By identifying and developing untapped markets, craft businesses can unlock new opportunities for customer acquisition, brand diversification, or revenue generation. In the conclusions of the report, the European market for crafts, was mentioned that the survival of crafts is not only important for craftspeople, as crafts are part of the content of many other economic and non-economic activities. Tourism, leisure, industry, culture, art, they all need crafts for their shows, for their works of art, for their prototypes, or for their communication. And from the opinions and experiences of the professionals consulted in the research, it was concluded that collaboration with these other sectors is helpful to show the possibilities of crafts that are right now confined to to limited fields. And these opportunities, these include opportunities to collaborate with public administration or public space managers, as public space still has room to incorporate craft to create new landmarks in cities or natural spaces. Also, there is the opportunity to collaborate with tourism. For example, ateliers or workshops can become a must-visit destination in urban or rural areas, and crafts associations, present here, can work with destination managers to associate crafts with regions or cities. Museums can become also a natural distribution channel for crafts. And last, there is the opportunity to collaborate with architecture studios, performing arts, visual artists, or even the mental health sector. We detected a case in Italy, which is this architectural studio, Officina Maggisafi. They are based in the heart of the secluded Val Seriana, just a short distance from Bergamo and Milan. And they work with a network of selected local artisans whose values inspire and transmit a shared appreciation of the basis of any living space. In the interview that we had with them, to include them as a lighthouse case in the study, they mentioned how important it was to establish a relation from equal to gain trust among the craftspeople. The other example that I wanted to share with you today is the work of the French macrame studio Laurentin Perilou, and their work to do the window dressing of the new store of Hermès in Hamburg. Hermès entrusted the Laurentin Perilou studio with the exclusive creation of this window dressing for the new Hamburg shop, and they created a total surface of 100 square meters. The project was inspired in the city's sport environment, and after more than 3 months working and more than 3,000 knots, the project enabled the studio to explore the large format textile surface through interior architecture. They are both good examples on new ways of working and collaborating, extending the space of crafts to new applications and new places. And there is something that I need to tell you today. Technology is not a threat and is not the reason to its extinction. It's a condition of our time or an opportunity. Extinction has to do with changes in lifestyles, with the refusal to update some traditions or find new market or usages, with the difficulty to find profitable business models and new formulas to market the products of craft businesses, and also all this combined with the lack of support or adaptation of public administration to the singularities of cultural and heritage-related sectors like crafts. After interviewing a good number of craftspeople, we realized that many of the craftspeople who use digital design or manufacturing technologies in their work today, they all have, or most of them have, a traditional craft training. And this traditional craft training is part to their understanding of technology and has been useful in successfully integrating these tools into their practice without feeling a loss. Incorporating technology into craft may require a shift in discourse, but it will be part, for sure, on how we tell crafts. And even in crafts untouched by manufacturing technology, craftspeople can add layers of value to their creations to provide a richer experience through communication technologies. We have to remember that technology is not just for producing or making. We can use it for communicating, for prototyping, for designing, imagining, or for keeping records. You might be familiar with the images that you see here. These are works of Michael Eden. He is a well-respected and established potter whose work sits at the intersection of design, craft, and art, and he explores contemporary themes through the redesign of historically or culturally familiar objects. Here we can see the Rococo Cuvette project, which is based on a porcelain potpourri base made in the Sèvres manufacturing in the 1780s. He says he's optimistic that he can finally bring together his skills and experience as a potter with the latest digital technologies. Another example of integration of technology in the craft practice is the work of the Finnish wood artist Ilona Rista. She studied sculpture and went to carpentry school. And by the age of 20, she made a conscious choice to carve by hand as a means of self-expression. After the years, when the CNC technology became available, she was just excited about the possibilities. And during some years, she was carving by hand the same objects that she was trying to replicate using CNC. She says that wood art has been digitized at the same pace as the rest of society, which is something very inspiring from, well, at least it seemed to me very inspiring. Her developments in reliefs and large format installations are now, and they have become part of prominent spaces such as the CERN in Geneva or the Finnish Embassy in Paris. My invitation here is let's think about benefiting from these possibilities and how to exploit the potential of our activity in this new technological context. Finally, I would like to share with you my wish list of future projects to foster the craft sector. All of them appear in the 3 studies that we have developed during these last 2 years, and we have selected those that we think are more relevant for the topic that we are discussing here today. The first wish project is about the harmonization at an European level of what craft is. Just to mention some of them, the definition of crafts affects to funding, to taxes, and to its protection and support by public authorities. An agreement is strongly advised for fostering effective European and national policies. My second wish project, or our second wish project, is about the reconceptualization and image renewal of crafts. This would be a project to reinforce the place that crafts have in our contemporary lives, broadening the concept and recognizing the importance of crafts in our culture, society, and economies. Connecting terms to define crafts with other creative disciplines. This may imply the development of a new taxonomy of craft categories, disciplines, and practice, and maybe we should create a revised vocabulary to better define the new profiles that are emerging in the sector crafts. The third wished project would be a new study, the European Market for Crafts 2026. Maybe now is the time to plan a similar study which will assess the evolution of the crafts market. Only with studies performed on a regular basis, maybe every 3 to 5 years, it is possible to understand how the sector is changing. Our fourth wished project is about creating a cross-sectoral forum or encouraging cross-sectoral meetings to address horizontal issues that may lead to unexpected and profitable collaborations. And maybe these forums for discussions between different profiles could serve as a breeding ground for a whole new type of economy. The fifth wish project is about creating a craft business management type of study. And that doesn't mean to include business subjects in the crafts studies, but to really create craft studies where we understand and we learn how to manage a craft businesses. And that includes intellectual property, marketing, audience development, strategy, or pricing. Our sixth wish project is the creation or maybe the exploration of the feasibility of a search engine where the needs of other sectors and other companies can find craftspeople to collaborate with. I don't mean a marketplace to sell craft products. I'm meaning a networking space where craft professionals and other sector professionals can get together and find a way to collaborate. For example, Homo Faber Guide is partially taking care of this, but it's not connected to the needs of tentative clients or project partners of other sectors. Our seventh wish project has to do with the connection of crafts with European heritage cities. The preservation of cultural heritage, high-quality souvenirs, or memorable experience for visitors can only be achieved if cities take care of their craftspeople. Congresses and workshops could be promoted by national and European craft organizations in Europe's World Heritage Cities, for example, in cooperation with UNESCO, to persevere with the message of the power of crafts to keep cities authentic. Our eighth wish project would be to explore or to test a model where traditional crafts and more digitally specialized creators can converge. It could be like trying to imagine how would be a Fab Lab with a crafts part or a crafts orientation within it. Because this way, the more digital profiles and the more maybe traditional profiles could get a benefit from that mix. And our ninth wish project, and we are reaching almost the end, we have called it the European Crafts and Archive Project, is based on the idea that digital design and manufacturing technologies could be used by heritage authorities to safeguard traditional know-how by promoting the digitization of endangered crafts and even making physical reproductions as a study for cataloging high-value or endangered crafts. Let's think how valuable this information would have been in the reconstruction of Notre Dame, for example. And finally, last but not least, we think that the protection of geographical indications for crafts and industrial products adopted by the European Council is a huge step, but maybe it's not enough if we want to guarantee authenticity. A specific blockchain technology could be facilitated to craftspeople and craft companies to guarantee the traceability of their products through an unviolable system that provides detailed information on the origin of their materials, processes, craftspeople involved in the manufacturing process, and any other valuable information on the product cycle, from the material to the retailer's shelves. My purpose in these 30 minutes was to share with you some ideas and findings this year as intensively studying crafts, as I believe this is the beginning of something really beautiful for the sector, and maybe the moment to reset and rethink everything is just now. Thank you very much for your attention.
Gracias, Rosa. Thank you, Rosa, for this very interesting presentation. It's amazing all the work you made from Ohio. And I think, as you just said, it's a very interesting moment for the craft sector. We have a part of it represented here, the local and the international from all around Europe. So I'm sure I speak in behalf of everyone that we are working in the sector that will be pushing all these future projects and helping to make them happen. Now it's the opportunity to have some question for Rosa, if someone has a question. No, I don't see very well with the light, but no, okay. No questions. It was very clear. Thank you so much, Rosa.
Thank you.
Good, we are catching up the time. So our next speaker will be looking at the topic of circularity, a very important topic also in the nowadays agenda, sustainability and the potential of crafts. I'd like to welcome Graciela Melitsko Thornton. Hello, Graciela, welcome. Who is the Creative Green Consultancy and Training Program lead at Julie's Bicycle, a pioneering non-profit organization which is mobilizing arts and culture to take action on the climate, nature, and justice crisis. Graciela is a sustainability and climate change professional with more than 25 years of experience. Her diverse skill set include developing policy and delivering projects for low-carbon cities, environmental management for the arts and leisure sectors, as well as the promotion of renewable energy in the UK, Europe, and Latin America. In the last 5 years, she has worked on 70 environmental sustainability projects with different art forms and organizations, including design, heritage, and museums at different stages of environmental literacy and action. Thank you for joining us, Graciela. The floor is yours.
Gracias. Buenos días, good morning. Very happy to be here. Barcelona is always special. For me, it was special at the beginning of my environmental career as well, long ago, 30 years ago, working together with environmentalists in this area. And also when I started working with Julie's Bicycle 5 years ago, we did quite a lot of work with CONCA and ISEC, making a diagnostic in terms of sustainability of the cultural sector. And there's been a lot of development after that. So double happy to be here, and we continue work and conversations in different projects. So let me see that I've been making lots of notes already. So I'm a bit dispersed, and I may change some things I was going to say in function of what Rosa and Laura said before, and I need to get familiar with this also. Yes. First, a little bit about Julie's Bicycle. I don't know if you know us. We are based in London. Julie's Bicycle is a pioneer, non-for-profit organization. We mobilize the arts and cultural sector on climate justice and environmental issues, as well as carbon. No? Our focus these days is climate policy, leadership development, climate justice, and driving climate action at a scale in the broad cultural sector, and building bridges between environmental policy and cultural policy and how that translates into projects. Originally from the music sector in the UK, we now expanded quite a lot of activities into the whole of the cultural sector. And myself in particularly working in the United Kingdom, in Europe and Latin America. And why culture? Because we feel that we need to shift hearts and minds. It's not only with conscious decisions, it's also connecting us, no? Connecting us one to each other and one to all the environment. And also the cultural sector brings creativity, brings innovation, brings ability for change, no? So that is very, very important. So the cultural community for us is critical, really, in our response to the climate crisis. And this is a little bit our theory of change. So the cultural is an ecosystem in itself, and we focus on the relationships because we need systemic change for the climate and ecological crisis. We start from artwork to activism, to organizations, design and innovation, how we can, this take us into pathfinding, and then policy and governance, and always really being supported by collaboration. And a little bit of, I don't know if it's an icebreaker or an ice melter, no? This exhibition that happened in Paris during the climate negotiations that Olafur Eliasson wanted to raise awareness about climate at the same time of all the politicians' negotiations. But I wanted to ask, first of all, how many of you are from Barcelona and the Catalonia region? Could you, yeah? Okay, so maybe 40%, yeah, 30%. How many of you are from extended Europe, from the whole network? Okay, and if I say, I'm going to use sustainability as a term. If I say in terms of sustainability, where do you think you are in your journey? If you haven't started, let's leave it like this. If you think you are in the middle or the beginning like this, and if you are very happy, would you put your hands up for me? Yeah. Okay. So that is really for you, because we really, I think the value of these events, I know that there is a lot of people online, and that is a luxury also that we have these days, but yeah, I think it's really very important in terms of connectivity, no? These types of events. And when we start working with artists and organizations, we always go from taking action, no? Reducing environmental impacts in all we can, call it energy, transport, materials, waste, food, taking more care of nature, or adapting to all the climate change elements that are already here with us, into raising awareness, no? Making this all collective, influencing behavior and action to drive wider change. Because we need wider change where we emphasize this connectivity, we emphasize the need for infrastructure, for sustainability, infrastructure to think differently about the future, no? And I took a lot of notes from what Laura said and what Rose said, and I will probably conceptualize later on, so I'm not going to repeat, But the craft sectors has lots to bring into this conversation in terms of climate action, circularity, sustainability, no? Because we've been saying that many people are already reusing materials and sourcing local materials to reduce carbon footprint, also recovering and regenerating from studio waste or byproducts. I'm going to go into agricultural byproducts that are a little bit a novelty, but it's extending quite quickly. No? Traditional knowledge and skills. One of the key elements is starting thinking, okay, what traditional knowledge are we losing that is so important for our connection with nature? What is happening with all this scaling, as Laura was saying, of the craft sector? Are we losing something in that journey? Are we losing processes that because they were slow, they were looking very carefully to materials, or the potential of connection with nature? So this is a transition, no? It feels that the craft sector is at a transition, at a crossroads, where it's really very important to look very carefully, no? Because at the moment we are in a climate crisis where we need to all do as best as we can, all at once, as Antonio Guterres keeps on telling us, no? And then I'm very interested in the collective, no, as well. And if we look at circular economy principles, no, what are we trying to do when we apply it to design, when we're applying to craft? In the first place, extending the use, the life of the materials. No? That's why we are always talking about longevity, trying to use materials for as long as possible. Looking in that respect, looking into how are we going to repair, how are we going to maintain all the objects we create. No? Look at how we reuse, not only in the manufacture, but also in the distribution and reselling, and transparency and traceability in all the supply chain. No? On the other side, we are always trying to design out pollution and waste. No? Design out all that can go straight into landfill, or design out contamination produced by paintings, produced by chemicals, produced by the whole process. And this process, at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is allowing natural systems to regenerate, no? Because we are constantly using the natural system. In one way, it may be more difficult to see it in cities, but we are constantly using the resources of the earth. No, we are breathing, so we are all part of the earth in one way or another. Even when no, but I wanted to start telling you about some experiences of the sector, so I don't want to move this one. So I'm going to concentrate. So I don't want to go too much into the theory, and I will try to explain or try to tell stories from the sector, and then we can jump in a little bit in and out of some more conceptual issues. For instance, the arts, when we started working on this, we found out that around 90% of the visual arts sectors were using crates that were used only once, no? So only for one piece of art, and then they were storage or discarded, but they were not reused. So the Victoria and Albert Museum in London they were quite concerned about this. They started becoming very aware about the amount of crates. As you can see, they have in storage. Fortunately, they didn't paint them, because as soon as you paint them, it's very difficult. You cannot recycle the timber anymore because it's contaminated with chemicals that then go into the earth or they go into the river. So fortunately, they were not painted, and they started a project of carpentry skills. So carpentry skills are skills that are getting lost in all the main cities around the world, in many cases, and they use this opportunity to start retraining, particularly people that were unemployed. So it's quite important in terms of skills, in terms of earning an income, social value, and also all the furniture went into a homelessness project. So, and as you can see, there's beautiful pieces of furniture. I didn't have the space to put all of them. So, for the timber that were not in such a good condition, they were used in playgrounds, or you can see the beehives there also that they were used to construct beehives. So it's very easy from an organizational point of view, no, to start this type of projects across sectors. I'm going to jump now to this exhibition that was called Our Time on Earth, that was developed at the Barbican, also in central London, and now is a slow touring around the world. It has been in Canada last year. Now it went to the United States, and I think it's coming back to Europe soon by ship also, no? Because they adopted the concept of a slow touring, so crossing the ocean. Normally, the museums as well, this is an area where we need to do more work in terms of traveling all the pieces by plane, no? So there is at the moment a lot of campaigns in the visual arts sectors in this area. But this exhibition was planned during the pandemic, during the lockdown, and they said, well, now we have the time. Actually, during the pandemic, there was a lot of really very interesting thinking and doing in terms of we have the time. We are always so constrained of time. We have the time to start rethinking how we can do an exhibition in a different way. No, particularly this exhibition that was focused on innovation and creation and sustainable solutions for the future. That is the topic of the exhibition in itself. So the Barbican came to us and they said, we think that our normal approach that is a little bit ad hoc is not enough. We need a systematized process. So we look at all the steps and stages of designing an exhibition until it finishes, then when it tours, and then what's going to happen after, no? When this exhibition was planned for 6 or 7 years, to last 6 or 7 years, which is what we want, really, extending the life of exhibitions as much as possible, no? So we came and we analyzed which were the hot spots, which were the problematic areas. We wrote a very simple, they call it an ecological manifesto, but it's a very simple 2 pieces of papers of where the key elements of this exhibition were from an environmental point of view, and as a material to share with all the stakeholders, which means exhibitors, it means designers, it means the builders that come and build, or the makers, because it was quite handicraft, this exhibition as well. No? And in terms of concepts, one of the things that we discussed a lot with the designers was the possibilities of abundance, no? Abundancia. Instead of always thinking in terms of a scarcity of materials, why don't we think about abundance of materials, no? Because what we have seen with the Industrial Revolution is that we've been using, at least, not in the craft sectors, but at least in manufacturing, we've been using less type of materials, no? The manufacturing sector goes for standardization as much as possible. And that's something important to see for the craft sectors when it's scaling up. No? We need to really recognize that there are materials that were used in the past and that have been disused for multiple reasons, but they were actually quite sustainable. No? So the whole concept of, sorry, I didn't pass that. The whole concept of designing this exhibition was thinking about these beautiful, versatile, optimistic materials they use to build all the furniture, recycled cork, corrugated panels made from hemp. That's what I wanted. That's why I put that picture, because all the divisions between space are all these hemp curtains. This was an extraordinary process of research of how hemp is being grown and commercialized in the United Kingdom. Lots of learning that was systematized. No? Also, cellulose panels from reclaimed places. That technology came from Barcelona, actually. And then pine skins to produce a leather-like material. There is a lot of, there is quite a lot of innovation, I would say, a revolution, I would call it, in new materials and in experimentation of new materials and in starting to use things like all agricultural waste, that goes from banana fibers, sugar beet, residues, grass, wheat straw, recycled textiles, flax, of course, seaweed, food waste, grass, even elephant poo. We have worked with some crafters and makers in India. No? So, and also in the ecosystem, and this reminds me of another project we work in India. There is a lot of invasion also of exotic species in natural areas. And a lot of crafters are extracting all these invasive species. I think the one in India was lantana. To build, to do crafts or to do sculptures, and that is a way, again, of regenerating the ecosystem. And if you want to have an exploration of new materials, there is the Future Materials Bank. That is a platform that was started by a collaborator of Julie's Bicycle, Jasmine Ostendorf Rodriguez, that now she was originally in the Netherlands, and now she's in Mexico, so she's building all this connectivity between Latin America and Europe as well, and it's been supported by the Van Eyck Institute, and so I invite you to look at the Future Material Banks. There is more than 400 materials and makers in the Future Material Banks, and also Yasmin started a series of podcasts to discuss all the use of materials. Transport and mobility is an important element as well, not only for the visual art sectors, but for the whole of the craft sectors. This is a stall that can be transported by bicycle. That one of we organize residentials with artists and cultural practitioners, and looking how to create a collective and networks at national levels. And this is from one of the participants of the Creative Climate Leadership Program in Switzerland this year, Leo Rebetz. that he built this mobile trailer, and where he also prints using ink that comes from natural pigments. So if you want to see his work. And we are also starting to see innovation, as I said, in the visual arts sectors in terms of transport of materials, reusable crates, and I think for the large museums is an interesting way, is something interesting now to explore. And this takes us into colors and pigments. Again, we see quite a lot of innovation in the sector. Probably what it needs is to be collectivized and socialized. This is from artisans in Argentina, where they are also looking at fair trade and the social conditions of people working in the craft sector. And there you can see that different textile products, they use, for the color, they use things like avocado, onions, oak, almonds. So it's quite, yerba mate, it's quite variable, no? In terms of publications, paperwork, all the packaging that the craft sector uses, that is something, a hot spot, I would say. 3 billion trees are cut every year to produce paper and cardboard. It's really, it's difficult to around the world, no? To commute really what this means. Or to imagine the speed in terms of ecosystem loss. So it's very, very important that we protect ancient forests. There is a new regulation in Europe coming this year into implementation to protect ancient forests. It's something that we all need to speed up and look how is it actually in practice, how is it being implemented, no? The demand for paper and cardboard has increased dramatically with the increase of e-commerce. So this is why it's so important to rethink, to reuse, particularly for all the commerce, to reuse materials, to ask the supply chain, what is the paper made from? Where is the paper made? Because this is a global business. It's not easy, I have to confess, in many cases. In the case of publications, where is the ink made from as well? The catalog of the exhibition I mentioned, Our Time on Earth, was again a very interesting exploratory process in terms of looking how paper is produced locally in London or more regionally at county level, specifying recycled content in the paper is quite important if you are going to do a publication. And it was the first time that an algae ink was used in the country. So again, there is a lot of experimentation at the moment to replace more contaminant inks. So algae is a new technology that also sinks the carbon, so that is quite interesting. I could have brought the catalog. Sometimes I take it, so you can see that the quality is good also, no? Because there is, in many cases, there is a lot of concern saying, no, my publication is not going to look well, but the quality is actually good. A lot can be done with more sustainable inks. A lot of the printers are starting to use soya ink. Vegetable ink is less contaminant, but I think there the supply chain is something that needs exploration as well, because as you know, soya, a lot of the soya comes from deforesting particularly forests in Brazil and in South America. So that is something that to look at it. And there is an eco-paper database. I encourage you, if you're going to buy paper, to have a look. Paper can be sourced not just from cellulose, it can be sourced from agricultural byproducts, it can be sourced from many other different things, not just from cellulose. And actually, the massive use of cellulose is only from the last 150 years. When we think about before, the books were using linen, for instance, to print books. There was a variety of other products locally, no? So it's something that when it feels that, no, we cannot change this is too ingrained on us, but when we look at history, and it's not so far away, really. So the eco-paper database was created in North America, but it now is growing quite a lot and is covering a lot of Europe as well. And then in construction, the policy is encouraging what is called material passports. So what we are starting to see is in the Gallery Climate Coalition network, people are promoting really, there is a label where people are encouraged to actually say, we are using recycled or repurposed materials, and we are trying to avoid unnecessary waste. So speaking about it, I think is important, no? So I'm gonna go a bit quicker through the next examples. This is one of the craft and design centers in Manchester with the increase of energy bills. I think we are all very concerned in terms of what that means to the finance of organizations, and they started looking systematically at how could they improve the energy efficiency and the energy management of a building. This building is 150 years old. It was originally built as a fish and poultry market, and then it was repurposed for artisans and handcraft. And so this whole process, and this happens in a lot of cities in the whole of Europe, and they are starting to look systematically, well, how to improve the energy efficiency. Again, it needs a systematic view. This is another traditional building in the center of London where Tomás Saraceno was going to have an exhibition last summer, and he was very keen that the exhibition was carbon positive. So it was generating more energy than consuming. So he supported the installation of solar panels, and here is the importance of conversations, no? Which is something I really want to stress so much. Sometimes it's not in our power of control, but it's in our power of influence. No? An artist can come to a venue and say, well, this is really important. This is what I mean. I am working on concept of interspecies justice. No? So I'm working on concepts that are related to the extraction of minerals in other places and what that means for local communities. So for me, it's very important that the exhibition is energy positive. So there were not only the solar panels, but also energy was produced by the public cycling. There were bicycles that were producing energy, and that was powering the use of the website. And then they stopped using air conditioning because the type of exhibition allowed not to use air conditioning. We had heat waves over the summer, so some days they had to close the building. So, and this is a little bit why he called it, the ballad of weather dependency, is start living more seasonality really as well. No, because a little bit we have forgotten about seasonality. This is another example where it's very clear how design can amplify and produce systemic change. This was the Biennale of Music of Córdoba in Argentina. It was their first edition. Very committed musicians said, we want to leave something positive for the city. So we are going to do this differently, not just as musicians, but we're going to do this calling the College of Architectures, calling designers from the theater sector, starting looking which spaces are degraded in the city and would be interesting to recover them for cultural activity. So there was an open call, designers came with their propositions for different public stages in the city. Sorry, I haven't put a picture about that. They got so excited that some of them decided that they also wanted to see overlook how they were going to be built. And they also, the local government started creating a space to reuse materials for sets and cultural production. So it started a circular economy project also with a company that provides the collection of waste. So again, this is the main idea, no? Looking at, it needs everybody bringing all these ideas into one place to make it happen. And that one is design of instruments, and there was a lot of community participation and also training and looking at local skills in terms of design and crafts. This has continued in a lot of side projects related to the circular economy, particularly to the use of and repurpose of textiles by designers in the city and providing that infrastructure and that space to have those materials and make them very easily available if you want to repurpose textile materials. And I go, how we came across to the Bienal of Música of Córdoba is because I've been doing for 2 years training and capacity building of festivals in 8 countries in Latin America, and they participated of this training and peer-to-peer learning. And another festival that participated in our second edition of this program was the Brazilian Eco Fashion Week. And again, they're starting to come and look not only at the supply chain of all the materials for the textile industry, but also starting looking at the circular economy. And in the last edition, with the support of British Council, they did an exchange with people working in textile labs. So textile labs, they work into comparing different materials, and they also work on modular design of clothes with participation of future customers also. So I think it's a very participatory methodology, and I think that is very interesting from that point of view. I put the link there. The organizers of Eco Fashion Week are really great advocates for all the concepts relating to ecology and textiles. And do I need to hurry up? I can see you are looking. Coming to Ohayō 27 in Ljubljana, where we did the training and capacity building of the designers. Again, another great biennale that they decided that they were going to completely rethink how they organize biennales, and they call it super vernaculars and negotiating traditions. And I think this concept of negotiating traditions, I'm not going to have time to go into it, but it's very important for the craft sectors. What elements of the traditions really bring innovation in times of climate change? The topics were forgotten vernaculars, reimagining systems and infrastructures for the city, and catalyzing communities. And it was really a project that supported systemic change. The team felt that they learned so much that they brought all into this toolkit for designing sustainable exhibitions that is being shared with all the museums in Slovenia. I'm gonna miss the food side. No, I just wanted to say this is our office. Again, it's another very, very ancient building, very protected building. We've been working into how can we green architectural protected buildings, no? And one of the things they said they can do is actually growing mushrooms, and then they are being used in the restaurant downstairs, no? Again, it's imagining what can I do, no? What is it possible? Minerals and tracing the supply chain, a very important topic, really, particularly for all workers in jewelry. Looking at traceability and social conditions and recovering minerals. This is a great piece of research that the Studio Forma Fantasma did. So I encourage you to have a look if you work with minerals. We have a carbon footprint calculator at Julie's Bicycle that we developed for the cultural sector. It's free. If you want to start looking at which elements you want to monitor, is something interesting to look at it. The Green Maker Initiative in the UK is doing great work, highlighting the leadership of makers that are incorporating green issues, and they're producing quite a lot of materials. I put a link there. And I'm getting to the end, no? And again, into what regenerative design and natural materials can do. This is about another piece of abandoned land in Ljubljana that was part of also of the Bio 27 work, and they started looking at different elements related to earth as material, no? And this is a project again on regeneration. It's very important to protect peat land, and it's one of the projects that one of my colleagues in Julie's Bicycle is working. And I've been, sorry, negotiating traditions, the toolkit. I'm gonna go like this. I was passing because I didn't want it to turn around. Thank you. So the toolkit that Slovenia did is available on our website as well. Somerset House, our offices, the Mushroom Project. Minerals. Forma Fantasma is very interesting because when they do a large exhibition, they are really systematic in terms of knowledge, and they share. So this was the first one on minerals. The second one was on timber. Have a look. They did that at the Serpentine, and it's an amazing reservoir of knowledge in timber in Europe and the use of timber, particularly for the craft sector. Our tools and Climate Southeast is this place in Ljubljana where Crate has been doing great work around the use of earth. Have a look as well. It was shortlisted for a prize in the new European Bauhaus project. Peat, the importance of peat. And lastly, I think the important here really, as we were saying, is supporting platforms of collaboration, highlighting and rewarding best practice as well. Connectivity, what is important for us, no? And what brings us joy. Because I stress this more and more about what brings us joy, because many times I'm being asked to do lots of sustainability checklists that I'm not sure sometimes how they are used. I'm not saying that they are not useful, but I think if you are just starting, it's important really to look at what connects me to this issue, which element. And then if we look at in depth, we will realize of all the systemic connections with other things. So it doesn't matter too much where you start from, I would say, and we need also to ditch a lot of perfectionism in this. The important thing is to start, to learn, to revise, no, to share, and make a community in all this. And well, this is where we are. Thank you very much for listening. Gracias. Bueno, speak soon. Yeah. And did I take the time for questions?
No, we are okay.
We are fine?
We are fine.
Okay, okay. So if you want questions, please.
Yeah, thank you, Graciela. It's such huge amount of information about sustainability we have nowadays, so please use it. All the producers and creative community use it. And I think the good part is craft, it has sustainability in its DNA.
Yeah.
So we are, a step behind, in advance, of other creative industries of producers. Okay, do you have any question for Julie? It's a big amount of information. No? Rachel, is there someone from the online?
And definitely, if you are doing something really that you want us to share, please do, because that's what we do. That's the way we work, really. We amplify the synergies. And definitely, this has been the perfect excuse. So I've been reading in the last 2 weeks about the craft sector quite a lot. So I wanted to use examples that I work with. But I've been reading a lot and I've been learning a lot, really, about what the craft sector is doing. So I think it's a question of really amplifying this and make it collective. So please tell us when you got something, something.
Yeah.
We're doing this great.
Yeah, craft sector, it's very atomized, but with the digital tools now, it's so easy to share information, and I'm sure there's easy for them to communicate about all these matters. I want to point out that we are in a building that they have a material bank too.
Oh.
Yes, matter of fact, and actually from CCAM we have a project called New Materia that it's a collaboration with them where we make this research and we are keeping researching through the workshops, looking for new materials for crafts, and in the research we found around 40 new materials with sustainable properties and values that can be crafted. They can be worked with craft techniques. So we keep also, innovating in this field, as we just said. Okay, if no one has a question, gracias, Graciela. Thank you, Graciela. We can go for a coffee. Please be very sharp here. The people in the room, if you are here 5 minutes to 12, it's better because then we can start sharp at 12. And from the people online, you can reconnect at 12 o'clock. Thank you so much. That we have the post-it panels if you want to share ideas here in the foyer. And for those that you don't know, the cafeteria is downstairs, okay, at the ground floor. Thank you.
You just use this. Yeah. Thanks. So this is obviously to go forward, and if you want to go backwards, and it's as simple as that. Because yours is just a PDF, there's no videos or anything, right? Yeah. Yeah, and your PDF is beautiful. It's long though. Will you get through everything, or are you just going to keep cruising? Okay, lovely.
I don't read.
Okay.
I explain.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. And if you'd like some water while you're talking, you can just grab one there. Open stage.
On the left.
So before you is Fab Lab Barcelona.
Yeah.
And we're running on time, surprisingly. So we started 10 minutes late, but we caught up to 7 questions. So it's a lesson in disguise. Yeah. In terms of timing, because we don't really have a way for you to monitor the time, do you have an idea of how long this is going to
Hola. Hello, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the break. Hello again to the people online. We're just waiting for the physical attendees to sit down. Okay, we renewed energy with some coffee, and now we are starting the second half of the annual conference, and we hope that you get some new perspective and about the importance and potential of crafts. Let me welcome our next speaker, Jessica Guy. Jessica is a designer, maker, and strategic research lead of distributed design at Fab Lab Barcelona, located in the IAAC. It's the Institute of Advanced Architecture of Catalonia. Jessica's work centers around researching ontologies and narratives of design from plural perspectives within design and maker education. At Fab Lab Barcelona, Jessica is a project manager of the EU-funded Creative Europe Project Distributed Design Platform and is the global coordinator of MakeWorks. They design and curate annual programs for learning experiences, knowledge exchanges, publications, hybrid events, awards, and other opportunities to support emerging creative talents. Thank you for being with us today, Jessica, and welcome to the stage.
Hello, everyone. Ooh, it's amazing to hear my voice so loud. Thank you all for being here after the little coffee break. I'm really excited to be part of this. We've been long working together, the World Crafts Council Europe and FabLAB Barcelona, so this is a precious moment for me. Before I go ahead, as I've seen some common practices before in the prior presentation, I just wanted to do a little feeling of the room, just to understand a bit better who here in the room considers themselves a craftsperson. Can we do a little bit of a raise of hands? Okay. Craftspeople. Now, who considers themselves more a maker, maybe even designer, something like this? Anyone in the room? Okay, great. Who here would consider themselves a researcher? I see some more hands coming up for this one. I like that. I see also some craftspeople raising their hands. I love that. And lastly, who here consider themselves a facilitator? Nice. I love that. So you can already see here, at least I can see as a person up front on the stage, that there are some intersections happening. We consider ourselves an intersection of multiple practices. So as already, thank you for introducing, already mentioned before, my name is Jessica Guy. I am myself a maker, designer, researcher, somehow a facilitator at Fab Lab Barcelona, here, obviously, in Catalonia. And I work in an area that is called distributed design. And we are here today to talk about how we at Fab Lab Barcelona try to enable resilient communities. We obviously don't do this alone. It's not something that we invented. Many people work on this practice, as we already heard as well beforehand in the presentation. But we want to share a little bit of our personal approach and how we learn with our communities that are connected to our organization. But why is resiliency in the context of communities actually so important? Today, this is a really great picture to show this. Today, we have around 300,000 particles orbiting our Earth. These are like little shrapnels. These are leftovers from the satellites that are orbiting Earth. These are leftovers from satellites crashing, leftovers from rockets entering space. Also, on the highest peak of our little Earth, on the Mount Everest, there's a tremendous amount of trash, leftover technical equipment that we are leaving there in the pursuit of achieving something superhuman, trying to reach the highest mountain on our Earth. When we look into our practices, more generally speaking, we extract oils from far down below our Earth, knowingly that this actually infests our soils and our waters, changing the components, the chemical composition of our immediate materiality. This oil we use, for example, to produce plastics. Really great, durable material, but unfortunately we don't use it to its perfect ability, actually for long-living things, but actually for single-use plastics and other products that are easily wasted. And obviously, this is no news to any one of us here. I'm preaching to the choir. All of you probably are working somehow in one way or another to actually change that. Through your crafts practice, through your making practices, through your design practices, your work as a researcher, you're actively trying to contribute to a change that we want to see. But unfortunately, somehow we're stuck in this, in the capitalist system that works towards extracting resources on one end of the globe, transforming these resources into products, then sending them all over the globe to use them, and then eventually trash them on the landfill. And I'm not saying our specific practice is doing this, obviously. I'm saying this is a general way of how we produce. And we call this, at Fab Lab Barcelona, the PITO model. Product in, trash out. So what can we actually do living in this world where we, unfortunately, waste so much materials? We at Fab Lab Barcelona, we believe that makers, craftspeople, designers, everyone that is here in the room has actually the skills and the capacity, because how we work, to change this, to be active participants in the change that we want to see. So, how can we work towards this resilient transition? And I wanted to share a little bit of how we do this at Fab Lab Barcelona, to maybe learn from each other, not only how we do it, but also learn from you later on, in case you would like to share how you actively contribute to climate mitigation or climate action. As already so beautifully said from Laura this morning, how to be a craftsivist in our daily practice. Fab Lab Barcelona, what the heck is that? Maybe some of you already heard it. Fab Lab is a fabrication laboratory, so we're kind of a makerspace. We do stuff. And particularly, we are trying to research and rethink how we do things, because somehow this PITO model is not really working out for us. So we're trying to rethink through our actions, through our research, how we live, how we work, and how we play. Is a really important part. Fab Lab Barcelona is not the only organization that is working on this, but actually we are part of a very big network. So Fab Lab Barcelona itself was the first of its kind in the European network, but we are connected to over 2,000 different nodes all around the globe. And what we do is that we share a very similar mindset. We believe that people who are eager to learn have the capacity to be agents of change. And we do this mainly through the making practices that involves traditional making techniques, but also innovative and new emerging technologies, such as, for example, CNC machines and 3D printers and all of this fun stuff. Before I go ahead, before I go ahead, how do we imagine in this network of over 2,000 different makerspaces all around the globe that somehow believe in the same thing, but somehow also adapt it in their own way, in their own local context? What do we want to try to make happen? We want to try to make happen this model. It's called data in, data out. So instead of extracting resources from our immediate surroundings, what we actually try to do is to work on a different level. We share knowledge on a global scale. We share it through, obviously, the internet. We share knowledge on a global scale, how we do things, how we can design things, how we can learn new methodologies and research through our network of over 2,000 nodes and more, because we have partners and collaborators. But then bring it down to our local environment to really understand what are the skills that we have in our environment, what are the skills that we have here in Barcelona or in Poblenou, the barrio that we're in. What are the resources that we have available locally? Not only the ones that we can extract, but actually the resources that we can harvest in a more regenerative manner, how we can also give back to our nature. What is the knowledge that is existing? What are the people that hold the knowledge in our immediate surrounding to make things happen? And then, if we can move towards this idea, we call this detail. We only share data, and data goes back and forth. And then we have, hopefully, a circular production in our local ecosystems. So how does this connect to what I wanted to talk about today? To how can we actually enable resilient communities? So I wanted to start with one part, and that goes back to why I was asking you what you consider yourself. It's like, what are actually the skills that we need for climate adaptations? Or what is, to say it in a different manner, what are the skills that we need to be able to address local challenges? Because of course we share the same globe, and we see the effects of climate emergency on a shared level. But to be able to act upon, we need to understand how we can do this in our local ecosystem. For this, very importantly, we have a principle of practice at Fab Lab Barcelona. We have 6 principles that work for us. We call them maybe key pillars or whatever. This is not a one-size-fits-all, and we don't say this is the one way of doing things, but this works kind of for us so far. And maybe in a few years we will have a reflection on that as well. So the 6 things that are important for us to have in mind whenever we work with communities to imagine a new future that is maybe more holistic, we look into these 6 pillars. 1, everything is bottom-up with communities, meaning all the knowledge already is within the community. When we do things, we co-design them, we co-create them. We don't impose our way of thinking to other people. We believe in open knowledge. Only one way of how we can actually improve our way of doing things is by sharing how we do this. We believe in a local global network. What I was mentioning before about Dido, where we share things, knowledge globally, and we apply them in our local context so they make as meaningful for our local contexts. We believe in a learning ecology, which means that all of us are learners. We learn every day. Learning doesn't only happen in school. We all know this. When we are crafting, when we are making, when we are doing things, we learn every time we do something. We believe that there's a connection between social innovation and technological innovation. Both of them are intertwined when we want to address complex challenges. Ooh, and lastly, not to forget, we are doing everything in our capacity to be as inclusive as possible in our practice, to really embrace diversity, to be able to develop equitable solutions. So going into skills, to showcase 2 examples, I will showcase one for skills now and later another one. How do we actually enable crafters, designers, new emerging talents to learn new skills for example, climate adaptation? One of these things is we have blended learning programs, we have immersive learning experience, where the people who are become the new generation of our economy actually can learn new skills. So I want to introduce to you something that is very nice and brings me back to actually almost exactly 1 year back when I was presenting this specific Circular Cities Challenge in the same room. The Circular Cities Challenge was a 1-week immersive learning program where we invited over 20 creative talents from all over Europe to join us here in Barcelona to support our local ecosystem to address local challenges. These local challenges were not provided by Fab Lab Barcelona. We actually worked together with different stakeholders that know best what these challenges are. We worked together on the topic of energy. We worked on the topic of natural materials. In this case, we were working on hair, which is maybe a bit of an unusual natural material to work with because it's human hair, not an animal hair, or actually an animal hair. And we were working on textiles, and specifically with wool, and not just with the A-graded wool, but with the B or C-graded wool that is normally considered a waste or sidelined product in the production of textiles, something that normally is not used for the textile industry, but is a leftover. And we were working on the topic of food, more specifically of food systems, together with our partner Mercadona, which maybe if you're from Barcelona, you know really well, which is a food distribution location here. So when we were working together with our stakeholders, we invited them to showcase these international creative talents to understand what are our challenges here. These were not only talents from all over Europe, but there were many that were local here from Barcelona as well. The stakeholder invited them to their, for example, Mercadona, to show them what is the issue that we're facing. In the case of Mercadona, it's a lot of food waste that is actually being produced throughout the day because of the lack of proper conditioning of the climate inside of the building. So within that 1 week, we not only visited stakeholders and thought, oh, well, many things to do, but we actually came together in our makerspace, which is here in Paulo, and utilized learning methodologies, design principles, traditional techniques, to try to prototype ideas on how we can find solutions for those stakeholders, something that is meaningful for them. You can see here some of the prototypes that came out of that 1 week challenge. So how does it connect back to the 6 principles that I was mentioning prior? How did we put these principles into practice when we were developing the Circular Cities Challenge? Co-design everything, what I already mentioned before. When we designed the challenge, we actively listened to our stakeholders, asking them, what do you think is important? Acknowledging the knowledge of the creatives, of the practitioners of the field, to incorporate their ways of thinking and doing, to find new applications, new solutions for those stakeholders. We believed in open knowledge, as as mentioned beforehand. Everything is documented from the way we do the challenge, how we did the communication channels and outreach, to the actual proposed solutions. Everything is open source and openly there to be shared, replicated, adapted in different contexts. How do we connect to the local global network? The interesting thing is here that we work with international as well as local creative talents, meaning that the creative talents who were here, but actually are not from Barcelona, took this knowledge back to their immediate surroundings, may this be Belgium or Latvia, whatever country they were from. Now they have the skills or the understanding and how they can actually utilize these skills in their surrounding, meaning if there's something coming up, for example, a challenge in Latvia, they know how they could address this in topic of food systems, for example. The learning ecology, as I already mentioned, we were all learners. We learned while we were doing it. We had a reflection afterwards as well. What can we do better? I mean, this is always a learning process. There's no one way of doing things well. We always do our best. The digital social innovation, when we worked towards the solutions for the stakeholders, we didn't only took into account what is actually the technological solution of this issue. Not saying, okay, well, we print something, we 3D print something, there's an app for something. No, it's more than this. There are humans connected to the work in those locations, and we want to make sure that the solutions we provide or the ideas that we provide are actually meaningful for those people. And lastly, really important for when we are working with a diverse group of people, not only are we reflecting as a team of facilitators how we do this, but also make sure that everyone that participates down the line knows how to be respectful with each other, that we include mechanisms of giving feedback and include mechanisms of raising the hand and being able to say, there's something that wasn't quite right. To my second example that I wanted to share. So how does FabLAB Barcelona enable, for example, resilient communities. This was a very specific example of a learning experience as a one-week thing. There's more than that. One really precious example that I always love to show, and that we're doing together with a dear colleague of mine, Milena, who's unfortunately not here today, is MakeWorks Catalonia. It was already mentioned before by David. MakeWorks, I lead the global coordination of MakeWorks. MakeWorks is a platform, a global platform, that looks into making manufacturing, designing, and making practices more visible. Because sometimes we lack the capacity of making a really cool website or trying to make everything happen at once, because we need to be a business developer, we need to produce everything, we need to find the resources, and sometimes some things comes a bit short. So what we do is try to show this hidden magic that is happening, the people who actually make things happen. In this specific context in MakeWorks Catalonia, or in MakeWorks, we have a local region as well. And we did something there that is not only making nice listings, something like, oh, like we go to this manufacturing space, we go to this craftsperson and make beautiful pictures of their work, but we said we want to create more than that. We want to actually create a community locally here. And it's still in progress, it's not finished, just saying. And the steps to be able to achieve this, and as I mentioned, this is a continuous process that we're still learning with our community members on how to do this better and how to improve, is to actually firstly map who are the people here locally, start to understand the local ecosystem, working together with the different actors locally. We scope and analyze together with our community members what are activities that we can do, what are things that we are interested in, and then together with them we strategize and prototype different type of interventions and things that we can do together to afterwards have that impact that we're actually looking for and decide it together. One example of this community activity that we've done is, I forgot to push twice, is the Fabrica exhibition. This was a really, really nice effort from multiple of our makers, designers, and craftspeople here in Barcelona that put together over many weeks a beautiful exhibition in Galalier. I see some people laughing. It could be that some people from this are here, but I'm not sure. We hosted a series of workshops, of talks, everything to engage the local audience, the citizens of Poblenou and beyond, obviously in Barcelona, to know about the productive and creative capacity of our neighborhood of Barcelona. I will share all the links for this later, so you can see the full video as well of this beautiful exhibition that was produced. Coming back to the guiding principles, we always come back to this, is how do we put our 6 pillars in practice when we're working with such a diverse group of makers, all of them having such an tremendous amount of skills and knowledge. It's the same principles that we put in practice. We co-designed the whole exhibition. What are we doing? How are we doing it with the people? We believe in the open knowledge. We want to make sure that, for example, in the case of the MakeWorks platform in general, that all of the knowledge is openly accessible. People can find manufacturers all over the place, click on their listing and understand what can they do, like what can I do with this person, which file types do I need, etc., so on. And it goes back and trickles down to each of those pillars for everything that we do. And thankfully, through those activities, we can actually look back on our over 15 years of work of FabLAB Barcelona and slowly start seeing that what we're doing has an impact. It's not always numbers. Sometimes it's a bit more intangible. For example, in the case of this lastly shown project, Milena and all of the manufacturers together here locally, they've been able to list more than 200, wow, that would be amazing, more than 20 craftspeople here in our region over the last year to showcase their capacity. They're now currently building a creative and productive hubs network with over 70 different representatives of Barcelona working on creativity and productivity. We've been able to develop new skills, new methods for production, including traditional making techniques as well as emerging technologies. And thankfully, we have also concrete established collaborations, not only with the municipality, but as well with, for example, vocational training schools, which is an important stakeholder for us to not only keep the knowledge and the skills within our community, but bring it to the new generation of creatives, as mentioned before. And because I always love to show some numbers, we had some really local impact with the work that Milena has been doing with the rest of the team, also Olga, who is here, but also on a global level, going back to this network of people that I was mentioning beforehand. We've been able to support over 2,000 creatives around the globe to learn new skills, to understand what they can do, to actually be part of a change that we want to see. We are doing over 100 local and global activities in our network to be able to make learning experiences, to showcase exhibitions, to be able to get that outreach that those amazing practitioners deserve. And that means that we actually have, on a yearly basis, more than 30 of those activities, and we're growing with every year. So I hope that somehow this was interesting for you. I'm happy to talk about it later on in case you want to know more. Thank you. I'm not leaving.
Thank you, Jessica. Of course, it was interesting. It was very interesting to understand how you can analyze and develop all these methods and make them transfer to the communities and building all these creative communities and sharing all this information. I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
Do you have any question for Jessica? Any comment?
I know people are shy because it's a big room and no one likes speaking in a microphone. Don't worry, I'm just saying.
I think we have someone online who wants to ask something.
I think the person over here, Rachel, will need her phone to work.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
No.
No? Yeah? Okay. The question is, in terms of the Fab Lab network around the world, you mentioned there are over 2,000 spaces. Is there any kind of global platform or European level knowledge sharing of the insights and needs of practitioners across the Fab Lab network?
Yes.
And if yes, how does that knowledge sharing work?
Super good question. So first of all, we have one platform that's a bit of a work in progress, but it's called FabLabs.io. On that platform, you will see all of the Fab Labs that are connected to our network. And if you want to make fabricate something in your surrounding, the easiest thing would be to go actually on that website and find the information there. But I have to say that there are a lot of maker spaces, productive spaces that are not listed on that website. So I could always highly recommend to actually reach out to us in case you don't find your Fab Lab in your local surrounding. It could be it just got a bit, needs a bit more time to be able to list everyone. And the secondary question about how do we share knowledge, this is a really good question. There are multiple ways on how we do this. The Fab Labs come from a maker movement, which means there's a lot of different types of repositories that we utilize, such as GitHub, Wikifactory, GitLab. These are all websites that we actually use on a day-to-day basis to document our work. And I'm sure that some of you craftspeople and designers and makers here in the room maybe have heard of them, about them before. But more than that, we also have an annual conference, similar as the World Crafts Council, where we actually come together and share the most recent insights. It's called FabX. This year it's in Mexico. And this is one of the most important moments because I think you can imagine that sometimes sharing things online is just not quite the same. So we do really enjoy having the possibility as much as we can to also join physically at events such as FabX, but as well there are some smaller events like maker fairs and other activities where people can come together and learn from each other. Anything else?
Thank you. I think anyone should visit a Fab Lab once in your life, at least, even if you are not a producer or a creative or a maker or whatever. It's so inspiring to see all the energy, all the creative and producing energy in the same building and the same room with all these creative people with this amazing abilities and skills.
Yeah.
I've been visiting sometimes your Fab Lab, and it's always a happy day.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's really nice to see, because I didn't show it in our presentation, but it was shown before in the other presentation. There's quite a lot of beautiful overlap happening right now from the craft sector and the maker movement. People wanting to combine how we can use a 3D printer to clay print, or how we can utilize CNC machines to make craft practices happen. Also in Kenya, for example, there's a really beautiful project where they utilize new digital fabrication technologies to actually tackle their local plastic pollution, to transform materials into traditional Kenyan furniture with wood carvings and everything, but instead of using wood, which is locally not as much available anymore, actually plastic. So I think these are the precious little intersections of the craft sector and the maker movement that we all can look out for.
Yes.
And be part of.
It's a synergy that we need to impulse, of course. And also I realized that all the pictures you presented, everything, you are quite a young crowd, right? Working. And do you think like the most veteran craft people is naturally intended to use the Fab Lab too?
100%.
Yes.
As I mentioned before, learning happens all the time and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that we can learn from each other. Mm-hmm. And I think if you ask anyone in the makerspace, do you want to know about traditional wood joinery from Japan, they would go absolutely crazy to understand that better, right? So I think there's this beautiful opportunity to exchange knowledge about these different practices, to be able to say, I show you this, and in return, I show you that. Mm-hmm. And that's actually very much possible here in the Ateneos de Fabricación, where there is this possibility of knowledge exchange based on different skills as well. And yeah, if a 10-year-old can come in and learn about making, then also can an 80-year-old, in case they want. It's never too late to learn.
No, of course. Okay, any more questions here?
Hi. I was wondering, is Fab Lab mostly directed at the tinkerer or at the hobbyist, or how do you involve like more professional trades in your project? Because it feels more like a generalist thing, and I don't know exactly how that factors in with the specialized craft person.
It really depends on which Fab Lab you're going to ask, probably. As I mentioned before, we're over 2,000 Fab Labs, and each of us have a different approach. We personally, we work a lot with the younger generation, meaning with students, with master students, bachelor students in K-12 education, which means our personal focus is mainly the next generation of makers. However, if you look into other Fab Labs, for example, Happy Lab Vienna, they specifically focus on business development with makers, meaning any person that has an idea, doesn't matter if they're a maker or not, can come into their space, learn new methodologies, tools, techniques, skills, and then be able to transform from their idea into a prototype, into a physical product, and also learn how to create a business out of that afterwards, because that's something, at least I think in the creative industries, is sometimes one of the hardest parts to make our work actually sustainable beyond our passion.
Okay, I understand. Then to make young people more open to the creative side and craft side of the world, it's what
for
you
us
do.
personally,
for you personally,
not
not developing craft as an as like promoting whatever, jewelers, milliners, clay, ceramics. So it's more of a general thing. So it's what I didn't grasp. So thank you very much.
Okay.
You have another question?
Yes, but
after the coffee, you are awake.
Yeah. I think it's not. We shouldn't shy away and presume that the makerspace is just for prototyping. I think that's a really important lesson that we have learned for ourselves. We thought in the beginning that we were a space to prototype ideas, but more than anything now is something now where it's space to generally learn, to bring your ideas to life, but as well to do research around how we can change the way we do things. And that goes, as I mentioned before, and it goes really depends on which Fab Lab makerspace you're talking to. From a very professional perspective, working with more crafts-related items, more digital fabrication-related items, to, in our case, a lot around research and new talent. There was another question, sorry. Yes. I get passionate as well.
Yes, don't worry, we are all passionate. Could you tell us a little bit more about your business model? How do you get funded and where? Yeah, that's a big question.
You like those questions.
Yes, because we like what you do, so we would like, you know, how you do it.
Of course, of course. So our business model is a threefold. We are, as you already mentioned, based in IAC, Institute for Advanced Architecture. We are one of the departments there, meaning we are an educational center. We provide different types of educational models, may this be short-term immersive learning experiences to long-term master programs. So one thing is our educational, one pillar, all of the three, is our educational, quote-unquote, services. So people who do a master degree at our location, it is behind a financial, it has a financial aspect to it, as we're not a public university. Then the other part is research projects, and this is one of our biggest pillars, actually. We do a lot of Horizon projects, Erasmus Plus projects. We look for the new European Bauhaus projects. We apply for those. These are highly competitive, but this is for us the opportunity to really thrive and all the ideas that we have to put them into practice and do it with others. So the research is the one thing that we really put a lot of emphasis on. And lastly, somehow in the intersection of the research and the learning, there's something that we call product and services. So this is normally companies, may it be Aguas de Barcelona, or may it be the municipality of Vic, or anything beyond Barcelona and Spain. These are companies or municipalities, as I mentioned, that come to us who want to apply some of our methodologies in their context. So they want to either learn new fabrication skills or new making skills, or they want to understand the greater picture of things, like, for example, how creating a Fab Lab in their neighborhood would help their community. And so we do different kind of, like, say, bespoke training for different kind of companies to be able to learn how they could do something similar as we do in their context. So these are the three main things. I hope that makes sense. Yes, okay, super.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, so we move.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica, so much for your presentation.
Thank you all.
Okay, let me welcome our last speaker of today, Paulo Ribeiro. He's presenting us a piece of beauty. Paulo, it's very well known in the creative community of Barcelona. He's a Brazilian architect with a master's and PhD for the Polytechnic University of Catalonia. So we could say you have been here since you were a student, right? So it's half Brazilian, half Catalan already. And he has been directing the creative agency Le Departament since 2007. Managing projects worldwide. In 2023, Le Department co-founded Contemporania Craftsmanship in Barcelona, Spain. Together, it's the first contemporary crafts fair in the south of Europe, and it was co-organized and co-funded together between the department and the CCAM, the government of Catalonia. Held at the Royal Palace of Pedro Alves, the fair features over 400 artisans, so it was a big success for a first edition, and combines neoclassical architecture with high craftsmanship for a unique experience. We are wishing to launch the second edition of Contemporania for next year, so keep tuned, be tuned. We'll be informing about it. And we've had also prestigious associations from all around Europe, such as the World Craft Council Europe, Michelangelo Foundation, and the Loewe Craft Prize also, alongside international galleries and institutions. Ribeiro's contribution to the craft sector extends to his role as a juror of numerous international craft and jewelry competitions. In addition to his work with Contemporania, Ribeiro has lectured and provided coaching on crafts, business development, and techniques in various countries. He has also served as a professor and coordinator at the Institute European of Design and IDEB Barcelona. So as you see, it's an impressive biography and trajectory, and today we are longing to listen to your piece of beauty. Thank you, Paulo.
Well, good morning or almost good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, David, Laura, World Crafts Council Europe for an invitation. It's an honor for me to be here and to talk a little bit about beauty or aesthetics. When I got the invitation, I had many ideas on how to talk about aesthetics or beauty. I could talk about historical beauty since ancient time, or I could talk in a more academical way to talk how we create beauty or how something is beautiful or something is not beautiful. But I chosen to do in a way much more personal way that will navigate through our lives. Since we were born, we have the connection of beauty, because beauty is not only visual. Beauty comes first with our first sense, that is breathing. We breathe, we start to live, and with this breathing was the inspiration of Emi Fukuda to create this brooch where you can see in the movements of breathing, she chose to illustrate and to say that the air that we're breathing is important, but also with breathing coming the senses and the smells. So since we are kids, we have the sense of our mother and of our first memories of smelling. In this case, Isabel Dameman, she lost her mother very young, and she felt very lonely. And luckily she got married, and she had 3 daughters to fulfill her life with love. And this love is represented here in this brooch in a form of a soap that show us that the soap represents the moments of birth of her children, and it's something that represents love and beauty in her life. So from this until the end, we will navigate through our lives and discover how jewelry designers or any other type of craft makers are representing beauty for us through their hands, their pieces, their vision, and their creation. Rita Martinez created a collection made Odorarium. Her obsession with the smell was also something extremely important for her, and she wanted to crystallize something that it's intangible. And with Odorarium, she wanted to talk about the memories that transports us to a specific time and space with a smell. So with this piece, she wanted to say something that we only can remember. Another sense, we have 5 senses or more, but another sense is the vision. Beauty is very well related with our vision, but not only, because we already talked about the smell. through this piece, Yu Shu Huang wanted to show that through our lens or our eyes, we see what we want to see, or we see what interests us to see, or we see beauty in something that probably is not beautiful, but for our eyes, yes. It also depends on the culture you're a part of, on the timeline you're living, or any other elements that she says, not in here, but yes, gender, country, religion, family. So beauty is very relative. It depends on the viewer, it depends on so many things. Valdisbrose continues with the vision. He goes a little bit deeper, and he shows us that we live in our bubble. We live in our comfort zone. And we create our vision and our perception of things through our lens, either bigger or smaller. But this piece represents that our comfort zone and our bubbles. Nam Kyung Lee, with the vision, crystallize a moment in the sense of a photography in this case, and Nam Kyung Lee uses her travel photographies of happy moments or any type of memory she has to translate this to a brooch, solidificating something that for her was extremely beautiful, but that she translated and showed something else for us and used this moment to create a piece. Another sense, the taste. You can say something is tasteful and something is beautiful. In this case, Liana Patihis used a wedding gift that was a spoon and created an object made of a silver chain and enameling, and gave another meaning to a spoon, but in the same time provide the piece a lot of significance. Because the spoon, it's the first instrument that we use when we're kids to feed ourselves. So it's something very related with our childhood, our first tastes and our first moments that we experiment related with taste in our lives. And one of the tastes that we liked most, the sweets and the sugar, that can be addictive or can be full of beauty or pleasure or related with something that we enjoy. Beauty is very well related with us enjoying, either visually or by our paladar or a smell. So I really wanted to show here that beauty is not something only visual. It's very important to have this in mind, and I really would like to open our minds to this, any kind of type of beauty. On the other hand, Catalina Giver, she gave importance to something that we all can have at home as a quotidian lemon, but this is an homage of something so common, and she translated this to an object in this case. It's also important that beauty is not only in something special. Beauty is also in something very common, and we can have it on our daily life, but we don't pay attention on it. And this is something that she wanted to show us. The same story, Ellen Flogman used a potato. She's obsessed with potatoes. She's creating potato in many different materials and shapes. And Ellen, in this case, created potato with wool, giving an importance for us of something, a vegetable that we use daily, but it's always a side dish. It's never the main principal thing, right? So it takes out the importance of a vegetable, but she wants to say that it's a very important vegetable that saved many lives for many centuries. and it has the importance and the beauty of it. Going back to vision, Isabelle Busnel reinterpreted antique brooches of her Grammy or the objet trouvé that she finds in antiques and compose a shape in rubber. In this case, what I wanted to show that beauty not only comes as it is, but beauty also is a composition of things. In this case, a composition that Isabelle created, made by objet trouvé that she had previously and she composed, but also she gave a new meaning with a new material. Beauty can also be in something fun, in something that we enjoy and something that gives us happiness or a laugh. So Cristina Jalillo, she wanted to do something against her depression and pessimism and make something fun with a balloon in a form of a brooch that you can use as also an object. Xiang Jinxi, she created also something fun and something playful, but already introducing technology. So technology is not always related with beauty, but if we combine craft with technology, something beautiful can come out of it for sure. In this case, she created these objects that are very funny and something that makes us intrigued and wanted to know the story about it. When we are kids, we also have an obsession when we're learning and gaming with animals. Animals is something almost mystical that we don't know how it works, how they think, how they're going to act, and their shapes are extremely attractive and really beautiful. It's a beautiful form in nature. And I wanted to show here a representation of animals through Anna Crow and Atai Chen. Atai, unfortunately, is not with us anymore. He passed away last year. But he was an extremely brilliant artist from Israel. He worked with paper and glue, creating these shapes that resemble a bird. The birds, they are the kings and queens of beauty, because with their wings and their colors, and the male wants to attract the female with the dances and their shapes, it's a total show, right, of beauty. So Atai Chen got his inspiration in the wings of the birds to create this gigantic piece of paper and glue. Artemis Valsamaki, she's Greek, and on the place of just getting the inspiration on an animal world, she deconstruct and she recreate her own animal or her creature inspired in the surreal or in the oniric or in her dreams. So beauty is not only a form of thing that we are used to see, but also probably a recreation of something that we already seen. Hannah Kim took beauty from the grotesque, but a very beautiful grotesque, but can also be related with something else and not only beauty, but something that can be hurtful, as if a bee pinches you. This is not only related with beauty, it's related with something else. So beauty can relate with something else also. Or another element as a fear. Your Jaeli did very big insects that you can use as a piece in your body or as an object, but that can cause kind of fear and not only a sensation of something beautiful as a composition. It all depends on your perception. And Park also related and wanted to show that beauty is not only in the rose, beauty is also in the painful part of the plant. She wanted to say that life, it's not only about roses and petals. Life can be also painful, but we have to take it as it is and make something from it. And that's what she wanted to tell here with her brooch. Once we are hurted, something happened with our body. When you cut yourself, the cells and the bacteria and the virus, they're moving. And that's what Giorgia Gremolti wanted to show here. That there is a transformation that we cannot see because it's microscopical, but that is also important for us to recover. So the microbials, organisms, for her was something that are inspiration. And few times I think we will think about something hurtful or painful or recovering of something that hurt would be pretty. She thought it would. Or another not so beautiful thing, it's intoxication. Erato wanted to say that we are intoxicating our planet living in it. And previously we talked about sustainability, about respect with nature, and she's also talking about that. And she said, imagine if you have a ring that's toxic for you and you cannot use it. And in the same time, she did it in a very aesthetic and beautiful way. So beauty is not only related with something positive. Once we're hurted, what can happen? We create weapons, or we want to defend ourselves. In this case, Florian Weisberger created a collection of weapons to defend ourselves, but also in a very aesthetic and beautiful way. So this is chain reaction that I wanted to show you here, that beauty can be part of every single step in our life, independently if it's something positive or negative. But how we can also defend ourselves to speaking our point of view. In this case, the collection of Benjamin Linel, I'm Yours, is telling something positive, something related with love. But in here, Lucy Ganley is not telling something beautiful because she went to prison and she was talking with prisoners and she wanted to include the sentence of the prisoners in her objects. So it's a way of expressing how important is writing and expressing ourselves. And she wanted to show this in a very strong object. Or Nana Obel, with her series of brooches, in this case a disease worse than alcohol, that was called at that time homosexualism. You can see here the heart of 3 men together. Because they were homosexual, they were called this way. And she wanted to say that it's something that, no, it's not beautiful, but she did it in a very beautiful way, an homage of something that was treated as a disease. Our sexuality can be something extremely beautiful. In this case, Sophia Mann did a vagina in a form of a ring. When we posted on Instagram, it was the most shared and the most liked picture. Something that all the women they have. is still seen as something kind of taboo. And she did it in an extremely beautiful and delicate way. But for religious or cultural reasons, people still get in shock or get different feelings when you make a ring in a form of a vagina, something that we should just have it as a natural part of our lives. After sexuality can come compromise. For Marc Monceau, love is not one thing. Love is made of many things. Love is made of compromising, sexual attractiveness, about confidentiality, many things. And that's what he wanted to show here. He wanted to say love is not one solitary. Love, it's made of many different elements that together create something strong. And love is also related with something that we call irrational feelings. In this case, Xenia wanted to create something very irrational. Think that this is a necklace that you barely can wear, or you can have it as an object. Love, many times, is related with flowers, chocolate, and something positive. But we never, or we don't question how irrational or rational is this feeling. She wanted to put this in evidence. With love and compromise, it comes our comfort zone, right? Our house, our space, our safe space with the person that we want to share moments. Mikia Sai created this lifestyle made of eggshells, and she wanted to express something that is very basic and simple, can also be extremely beautiful. Once we have our space, we have our relation with architecture, something a little bit bigger. Let's change the scale. Alex Kinsley is inspired in the industrial architecture that he has in his village, and is very raw, very brutal. But for him, it's also beautiful. So with this inspiration, he created objects and jewelry and show us his vision of beauty. Gigi Mariani also is very brutal, but he combines something way much more soft, and I would say more comfortable for us. That would be a piece of gold in the middle of something very strong. It's interesting, our relation with some materials that gives us recomfort or repulsive, or can give us different feelings. So here you can see a very obvious way of showing it and composing. Continues with our architecture. Alina Karp, she's from Romania, and when they were creating churches in Romania, they were putting a live person inside the wall to give to the church a spirit. So in this case, she wanted to show that this person was built together in the church, and the last thing it was covered was the face. And it was something very strong when she showed me and she explained to me. But in the same time, I thought it was fascinating. They wanted to give a soul to a church by putting a person inside. And sometimes the person, it was a pregnant woman, or it was a random person from the village. So, and she wanted to make an homage and something beautiful from this person that was suffering, because they had to be buried alive. Artemis Valsamaki again with the oniric dreams, or probably our relation with spirituality and the things that we don't know, or we think we know, or we want to know. And Sarah Kosner, that wanted to show something beautiful from something that we don't control really. Our addictions and our hallucinations, either alcohol, drugs, or any other thing, she wanted to do in this piece as if you were hallucinating. And of course, after love, maybe we can have a broken heart. And To Mend My Broken Heart is the collection made by Liana Patihis. She had many wedding gifts that were broken, but she never threw them away. And for many years, she never knew what to do with them until she decided to create pieces and compose them with silver chain. She recreated something that was totally broken and had no value, giving a new life to it in an extremely beautiful way. Or Laura Gea. Laura, when I met her, she was a recent graduated from Escola Massana, and I got very intrigued of what was this made of. And she explained to me that it was pieces of a construction site that she took and she put in different layers, glue, made a kind of a tube, and then cut it in the middle. It's like to bend my broken heart is to bring not only my heart, but also my environment as architecture here is recreated in the sense of an object. Dinah Lee is talking about cultural heritage, in this case of Korea, and how the nails represent status. And if you work with your hands, you cannot have long nails. If you have long nails, you don't work with your hands. So when you rebuild your heart or your architecture or your space, are you going to do with your hands? Are you going to use other hands? The nails here, it's a total social context importance. With age, it comes our body changes. And Isabel Mackay Sim got inspired in the cellulitis to create a beautiful ceramic piece and to give an homage to something that many of us thinks is repulsive or don't want to have. She accepts, and beside accepting, she gets inspiration to create something beautiful from something that probably many of us wouldn't like to have. Christine Hallio continues with our aging process. Our skin, our wrinkles, and our flaccidez, I don't know in English this word. Flaccidity, thank you. She wanted to represent the aging process of all of us, but in a very aesthetic and intriguing way. With aging and changing, we create a mask, right? Many times we want to hide, we want to show something else, we want to show our best parts. Nun Pasama talk about our masks and our way of showing us to the public or to society. Akiko Shinzato was one of the winners of Enjoy It. She also talks about our body transformation, but in the sense of makeup. When you make up, you show another part of yourself, or you show yourself in another way. With the body transformation comes things that are not so pleasant, like cells transformation. In this case, Junmin Bai is talking about cells transformations as cancer or diseases that we have that she did in an extremely interesting way of showing. As well as Malène Castali, cells transformation, but almost like a coral or marine structure, but it's not a marine structure, it's cells transformation. Miao He, she doesn't talk about diseases, but she talks about our layers and how she felt needed to protect herself in a different country. And her protection was almost like a garlic skin. That is what is made of this ring, garlic skin. She thought she had so many layers to protect herself as she didn't want to be hurted. Or the transformation of Sarah. She combined a very fragile metal with a very strong metal, thermic speaking, a metal that melts in 26 degrees, the other one melts in 270 degrees, and she wanted to show the fragility of both metals in here, showing that we are fragile. We have bones that are very strong, but we have our skin that is very delicate. And that's the contrast that she wanted to show in her pieces. Talking about bones and about transformation, Velislava is talking about our inner sense of transforming or having something with the age related with our bones or any kind of our selves. Lily is not talking about our body, is talking about her loss in lives. She lost many people from her family. She became alone in the world. And she got depressed, and she got no reason to live until she started to create something strong like a stone, because her essence had to be alive, and her stone had to have color and to be beautiful. And this gives her, in this case, strength to continue and to follow up in her life. But this beautiful piece is talking about death and loss. Ricardo Tena, on the other hand, is talking about something liturgic or religious. This could be a beautiful tomb. And once you see the piece, you would never relate this with a tomb. You would relate it maybe with a skateboard or with something way much more beautiful. But for him, it was an homage to create a piece that was related with something religious. Katya was an anesthesiologist and continues with the end of our life. She had the experience of seeing many people dying, something that many of us wouldn't have this experience unless we are doctors. And she wanted to express this and to also give an importance of the end of our life, that it's something that can also be part of something beautiful and part of our lives in a natural way. Elena Moreno, on the other hand, it's talking about the afterlife, because she's using the vomits of the birds. The eagles, they eat small animals, and they vomit the bones that they cannot digest. These bones are extremely hard. And with these bones, she's an archaeologist. She took the bones and created beautiful brooches or objects, giving a second life to something that it's totally, has no material value. Mala is talking about the generation, the degeneration of ourselves and our bones, and the microscopes, and the microbiotics, and all the transformation after our death, and making it in a very strong and powerful way. Jorge Manila, on the other hand, is not talking only about death, he's talking about violence. He's Mexican, he lives in Oslo, and he talks about all the problems with the violence and the murders in Mexico. And, but on the other hand, he takes the beauty of it and show us that this is part of life, we have to deal with it in the best possible way. And I wanted to finish the conference with a beautiful necklace of Adriana Vallis that was one of the most impactant pieces I've ever seen. She was one of Enjoyat winners also, and she created necklaces made of wax. Once you burn the necklace, you have nothing. And what I want to say is beauty is ephemeral, as all of us.
Thank you, Paulo, for sharing with us this selection of, this wide selection of beautiful pieces. I must say that I learned two things in this conference, is that with craft skills and different materials, you can create very beautiful objects. But and second, that to me, the most important is the beauty of the message. No, we have seen here you explaining us every piece. It's some things are not obvious, but when you have someone that narrates the story for you, the beauty emerges. So thank you so much. I don't know if we have questions for Paulo. Beautiful questions, please. No? Maybe someone from the online?
Yes. There's a question from Georgia Gomez, who's asking whether the pieces that you've shown are unique. So I guess she's looking at it from a craft perspective. Are these perhaps additions, or are these one-off pieces?
They're all unique pieces.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That was easy.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, a follow-up also from her. She's saying, where do we find these pieces, or where can people access these makers and artists?
They are in different galleries. Some of them, you can find them in internet, in Instagram, or in the, yeah.
Okay.
Or you come to next edition of Contemporania.
Also.
Okay. If we have no questions, thank you, Paulo, for your explanations.
Thank you all.
Oh, I can believe it. We are on time. Good. Good job. Okay, so I just will now hand over to WCCE Vice President Cristina Mendes for some final remarks. Thank you.
So, after this beautiful and inspirational journey that we made with Laura and Rosa and Graciela and Jessica and Paulo, and I'm not forgetting anyone, my only chance is to be boring, so I'll keep it brief, not to bore you so much. So, to wrap it up, I would like to concentrate in the element of crafts, the artisan. This highly skilled professional, resilient entrepreneur that contributes to the local, national, world economy. And we heard about some figures in the inspirational speech of Laura, and we should pay attention to these important figures. And this profession that is also a promoter and a guardian of culture and identity, and it is not exclusively for traditional crafts. And this important and full-skilled professional is living today and is dealing with the current issues that we have today. He's dealing with global market, is dealing with sustainability and circular economy, and we heard so many good examples from Graciela, and is also dealing with new technologies, creativity, as we heard also from so brilliantly presented by Jessica, and he's dealing with beauty and aesthetics, like we heard from Paulo. This professional has a very huge job to do alone, and it's not easy to do it alone. So we need, what we really need in crafts is to networking among ourselves, as we did during 2 days in the GA. We need networking like we did today here. We need close relations with other sectors. We need close relations with science and research. We need public support. We need taxes. We need to be treated for our singularity. We need legal frameworks for us, for our singularity. And we need to regain our role in society. We need to reconnect and connect with all society, with all those that surround us. And we need to do it with beauty. We need to do it beautiful. We need to do it sustainable, and we need to do it together. And I'm using the life motive from European Bauhaus, that is a beautiful leitmotif for European society in the future, and it suits so well crafts world. And I think this beautiful, sustainable, and together journey should continue in our days from now on. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Cristina. I just want to add some remarks. We would like all that you are physically here in the hub, the Disseny Hub, you participate in the board we have there with, you can stick the paper with your messages. We really appreciate that. After those we can collect and share ideas. Also, you can make profit of being here and talking to our members of WCCE. It's an occasion because they are visiting Barcelona for a short period of time. So maybe if you need to do some networking, now it's the moment at the foyer. For those online, I want to tell them that you can share the link of the YouTube channel so everyone can see, or if you can see again the whole conference is going to be in the YouTube channel. And also you can share in your social media with this hashtag State of Crafts or 2024 what just happened here today. Also, I want to close this meeting just saying that for those visiting Barcelona now or before end of September, we have a very beautiful exhibition at the Craft Center at Disseny Catalonia. Called Soul Plus Matter, that it's produced by CEARTE and is touring all around the country and shows the excellence and the beautiness of Spanish craftsmanship. Thank you so much for your presence. Thank you so much for all the speakers, and thank you so much also for the personal institutions that made this possible. Bye.